The Rebbe's Maamar on Ledodi in Kontreisim Dalet, page Shin Samach Vav, Eitz Vav. Okay. So, what the Rebbe said, there's two things. The Alter Rebbe is explaining what the Rebbe is explaining. What the Alter Rebbe is explaining. There's Mekabel Kulam B'Sefer Panim Yafais Megala Panim Secha Kesel Kulam. Okay, so he says this is the receiving end, and then he's mashpia, and he says that Panim Secha Kais is mashpia, the essence of Tainug, which is the essence of the Jew connected to the essence of Hashem. So he says in Vav like shh. We need to understand. We are now moving. From here we understand Shagilu the Elul, that this revelation, because the Alter Rebbe is explaining that what happens in Elul, the king is Mekabel Panim B'Sefer Kulam B'Sefer Panim and Megala Panim Seichel Kais, and the king is giving the level of Tainuk from above. That seems to be an ultimate revelation from above.
Kulam means everybody.
Everybody, even you.
Including someone like me.
Even you. Shalaknes in his Kayach Lavaida. So then, until now, the Alter Rebbe was explaining that Elul is not stimulating. It's just, I'm here. It's up to you now to come. But now the Alter Rebbe in the Mashal adds that Hashem is revealing a great revelation to everybody. So that's not the Aved of the Jew. It's not Ani Ledodi. Everybody has permission, the ability to receive him. But based on what we said before, it awakens the person. Through this, that the king receives everybody with Sefer Panim, and especially Marta Panim Secha Kislu Kulam, which awakens them. He says, awakens the Pintali Yid, the essence of the Jew that causes them to do tshuva. Afal became the Aved of Elul, Ani Ledodi, Aved of Sodom. So it's not the Aved of a Jew, it's a gift from above. So how do you reconcile with this? That the whole inyan of Ani Ledodi is the Aveda of the Jew, Mamata L'mayla. Yesh L'haisiv, and you can even add the inyan, the Shagilu, the El, this aspect that we just mentioned. That the Gilu of El is not only a sin as Kayach, it also awakens the person to do tshuva, move and come close to inyan the Melech Basada. It's also understood the whole concept of Melech Basada. Why? A Melech Basada, when the king is in the field, not only does everybody have the ability to go meet the king, in other words, not the king doing anything. I'm here, I'm available, you can come. But it's even more than that. The fact that the people hear and know that the king is in the field, in the same place that they are, that also awakens the person to go. Until now, the way the Rebbe is explaining what the Alter Rebbe says, Elul is not a stimulation, it's only Ani Ledodi. So what is Elul all about? The king comes into the field, I'm here, you have now the ability to come see me. I'm not causing you to come see me, but you have the ability to come see me. So first, the Rebbe is asking on the Alter Rebbe L'chaira, so how can it be Marta Panim Seichel case? That's definitely an awakening from the above. And secondly, even the fact that the king's in the field, that itself is not only, okay, I'm here. The knowing that the king is in the field stimulates you to go see the king. That he's on your turf. So he said, to explain this is as follows. This that the people want to come see the king is not the king, it's them. It's because this is really who they are, not the king. Why? The fact that Rambam writes in Hilchos Malachim that the king is the heart of the Jewish people. In other words, the king is not a separate entity that a foreigner is stimulating them to do something. It is them. The king is them, is their heart. L'chein, his kashus l'melech is be'etzem mitziusim in their very essence. Elo, I'll explain in a second. El shemikomakim, kshamelech v'amein bericha kmokim. Nevertheless, when the king and the people are far away from each other, then efshish is kashus shalem lamelech. Therefore, the connection to the king, and therefore their will, their gilui, is behelim only concealed. Vaidei shamelech basad. Through this, that the king is in the field. In the place where they are, yeah, so that reveals the real person. In other words, it's not the king doing it. It's coming from the person. Give you a simple example. You go, going in the streets with tefillin, yeah? Come to a Jew and say, you want to put on tefillin? And he says, yes. Okay? Now, the yes is not coming from you. The yes that Rambam says, because every Jew wants to do what the mitzvahs.
And if you're not there to bring the feeling, he's not going to say yes.
Right. So he says, then the essence of the Jew that wants to do good is not revealed. All you're doing is revealing and stimulating and giving the ability for the Jew to come and say what he really wants to do.
What percent of Jews agree to put tefillin typically?
Most of them. Yeah. And the only reason they say no is because you didn't ask him with a sincere heart. If you really want them to put on tefillin, they will never refuse you. Okay. That is about nimshol, so it is in the nimshol. Shemis it is the tshuva. This awakening for tshuva that comes through the gil of Yud Gimel Mirachos Sheba Elul that the Rebbe asked before, it's not coming from the person, it's coming from Hashem. Marapanim Seichak, he says in the Revelation, Yud Gimel Midas Rachmim. It's Haidei Gil of Yud Gimel Midas Rachmim. Through the revelation, Yud Gimel Midas Rachmim. Misgal Arotz and Pnimid Yisrael is only revealing, not stimulating it. It's only giving the ability for the Jew's essence to become revealed. After the march of the king in the field, the Alter Rebbe says in the Maamar like this: in the Yud Gimel Midas Rachmim, what's the first? Shem Keil Ureishes Kol Yigimel Midas Mekeir V'Chlulusam. There's a whole argument in Kabbalah. Hashem Kel Rachum V'Chanu Ercha Payim. What's the first of the Yud Gimel Midas Rachmim? So in many places Hashem, in many places Kel Rachum V'Chanu. Here the Rebbe is saying that the name Kel is the first of the Yud Gimel Midas Rachmim. Umekeiram V'Chlulusam. Therefore, it has within it all, like Bereshis is the one of the 10, but it has all 10 in it. Kel has all 10 in it, 13 in it. The Shem Kel, what is the inyan of Kel? Orin Baruch Hu Mamish. The revelation of Elokosik, it says, Kel Havaya Vayo'er Lanu. The passage says, Kel Havaya Vayo'er Lanu. Hashem is shining to us. The Erdu Kameo Etzem. The light, Or, is like the essence. Or reveals the essence. You look at Or, look now out in the street, you know it's sunlight. You don't see the sun, but the light itself reveals what the source is. On the Kamuvur Bekamakimus, they can explain in many places the difference between Or and Shefa. We know there's Or, and then the two things reveal the source. Or is light, and Shefa is Hashpah. Whether it's a teacher to a student, whether it's father creating a baby, it's all Hashpah, Mashpia.
Shefa, isn't it plentiful?
No, that's Shef. Yeah, it also means plentiful because Hashem is giving you plenty. But Shef Mashpia means the one that gives. Shef, 1 minute. Shef Mashpia, what is the level of Shefa? That the Mashpia, in other words, if a teacher wants to teach a student, right, he can't teach the student on his level. He has to lower it to the level of the first grader, second grader, whatever it is. That so Shefa is not revealing really the source of the Mashpia because he has to limit it for the Talmud, to the kid to understand it. But Erd is revealing that source the way it is by itself. Shefa is not necessarily revealing the mashpia, because the mashpia is limiting himself based on the mekabel.
So the bottom line is it's coming from you.
Within us. Well, he's going to explain this. And every single Jew has this level of kel. But not only that. Well, the Rebbe is explaining like this. What does Yisrael mean? Sar kel. The word Yisrael is Sar kel. And the Yud means continuously. Yud in Lashon Kodesh means it's constantly doing it.
Sar meaning minister? Yud, sir.
Minister. That this level of kel, that's the Sad Umeshel Bekirbe. Okay? What rules the Jew, Yisrael? The kel, Alukus, reveals, is the essence of the Jew. The Yisrael or Asius Yud Sad kel. It's another Yud, like he says in the 31, the Rabbi writes that Yud means continuously happy. That's the level of bittul that every Jew has, is bittul shelamayla mitam v'das. In other words, kel represents the first level of Yud Gimel Midas Rachman. Yud Gimel Midas Rachman is a level of Keser. It's not the level of the Midas. Right? That means kel is higher than Seichel. So this Yisrael, Sar kel, that what is controlling every one of us is kel, which is a level of Gilei Alukus, which is higher than Seichel. It's illogical. It's not logical why a Jew, this is what we were talking before. You ask a Jew on the street, you want to put on tefillin? Yeah, the guy never did it, does it, or whatever. Why should he say yes? It's not logical for him to say yes. Why? Ask the guy to go dance. He won't do it. I mean, why will the Jew, right, agree to do it? It's not logical. In fact, to put on tefillin in the middle of the street, it's illogical. Why is he doing it? Because the kel that's shining within him is higher than seichel. It's an essential thing. And this is that the bittul of alukus that every single Jew has is bittul shelamayla mitam v'das, a level higher than seichel. Why? Kibi Yisrael is sar kel, meaning the gili orin tov baruch hu atzmei mamish shelamayla miyishtalshus. What is controlling the Jew kel, which is higher than ishtalshus, higher than seichel?
You said before kel is the level of chesed.
He didn't say chesed is kel, he said kel is or. Chesed kel kol hayeh. There's another passage, chesed kel kol hayeh. But it's the chesed that comes from higher than seichel. There's a chesed that you do, comes from logic. Okay, let me explain what it means. In the first parak of Tanya, the Alter Rebbe speaks that the difference between nefesh habamis of a Jew comes from klipas nega, and a guy is from shosh klipas atreis. And he quotes the Gemara, called Chazash umas evde glulam evdem einam el l'syayer. It's only to show off. Okay? Abraham Taiv Cloud, as Rabbi said. Okay? That's why he ended up running away to the cave for 13 years. Yeah? So especially we find goyim that do good. We find goyim that do good. What do you mean Abraham Taiv Cloud? So the Rebbe explains two things. First of all, there are goyim that are Chasidi Umas Elam, the righteous goyim, that their nefesh habamis comes from klipas nega, not from shosh klipas atmeis. But then the Rebbe explains another thing. Many people, why do people do good? I will do a favor to you. I will be good to you. The nature of a person is like this. I want to be a good person. I want to be a complete human being. Being a nice human being, a good human being, means I do chesed. Okay? So in other words, why am I nice to you? Because I want to be a good person. Therefore, if by me doing chesed to you, I'm going to hurt myself, I'm going to lose by it, I'm not going to do it. Because then I'm not going to be a good person, I'm going to be losing by it. I'm not going to be a complete person, I'm going to be losing. Okay? Real chesed, like he says in the Eina Elul, they want to show off by it, to boast. Look how good we are, we do this and that, you know. But they're not doing it for you. When I do your chesed, I'm doing it because I want to be a good person, but you should say I'm a great guy. I'm not doing it for you, I'm doing it for myself. When do you see real chesed? Real chesed is when I do it when it's going to hurt me. I'm going to risk my life to save you, which in seichel does not make sense. Because I might get chas v'shom, the guy might die from it. Real chesed is when there's no benefit in the chesed. It's pure chesed. That the Rabbi explains the difference between a Jew and a guy. A Jew becomes an neshama from klipas naga, which is good. It's shaykh to do chesed just for the sake of taiv. Not for me. Not for my satisfaction, not for my accomplishment, not for my completeness, whatever. I'm doing it because it's good. 1 second. So there's a chesed kel kol hayom. There's a chesed that comes from seichel. Again, I understand. I have to do you chesed. I have to do a chesed to you because it makes me a good person. Then there's a level of kel. That's the way kel comes into chesed already. That's intellectual kel that does chesed because it's intellectually right to do chesed. I want to be a good person. The Hashem kel rachum v'chanun, that level of kel, Yud Gimel Serachmim, he says, L'mayla mitam v'das. There's no seichel in it. It might contradict seichel. I'm doing you a chesed because I'm going to lose by it. That's not seichel, it's opposite of seichel. And yet that level exists. He says, by day, Yud Gimel Serachmim Sheba Elul, which are sheets and the Meker Mekutz in his kel, Mis'ed or Misgala B'chinas kel Shebachol Echad Mi Yisrael. So again, now the Rebbe asked the question, if it's coming from above, Marapanim Seicha case, how can it be the Avodah of Elul? He said, it's the Avodah of the Jew, it's what the Jew really wants. In other words, when I ask you to put on tefillin, you put on tefillin, you're not doing it for me. You're doing it, even though I'm saying, okay, I'll do you a favor. Or you're so sick of them bugging you, say, okay, I'll do it. Yeah? What happens? You're not doing it for the person. The reality is you're doing it because that's what you really want. This guy came and just took off the shell. The facade, the fake that you don't want to do it. He says, Ledodi is Gilui Mamayla. Even though the awakenings from above, how can it be Ledodi? Gilui Shelamayla. The Gilui of above, even of Melech Basoda. And even more so, Marapanim Seicha case is only Siba. Shal Yodei Mizgala Rotzen Apnimi Dodam. It is Takadani Ledodi. It's the Avodah of the Jew, who awakens that ability for you to do it. Elul, the Melech Basoda, Marapanim Seicha case L'Kula. And he said, V'yeshleimar, Shaydei Agili Yud Gimel Serachmim. Through the revelation of Yud Gimel Midas Rachmim of Elul, Me'ed or Megala Ratzim Pnimi Yisrael, reveals the real will of the Jew. Sharoch and Ratzin, the Yisrael Belukustas, this will that a Jew wants to be connected to Hashem is the Fishem Mushroshim Ba'atzmos, because they're rooted in the essence. So now the Rebbe says, we're going to continue tomorrow, but what the Rebbe is explaining now, when the Yud Gimel Midas Rachmim stimulates the Jew, that adds greatness to the Yud Gimel Midas Rachmim. And the Rebbe is going to explain why. To give you a similar mashal, when a teacher teaches a student, the Gemara said, "Mitamida Yosef Mikulam." The Gemara says, I learned a lot from my teachers, I learned more from my friends, I learned the most from my students. Yeah? How does the teacher learn from the students? He's teaching them. When you teach them, it awakens a deeper, and they ask questions, whatever. It awakens a deeper level of understanding that you wouldn't have otherwise. So the awakening that Yud Gimel Tzarachim awakens the Jew, makes Yud Gimel the Tzarachim greater.